Hello everyone, it's my extreme pleasure today to present you our one of the newest products on our place, which is called MetaFoodBiom. It's a product that aims to normalize your gut microbiota. My name is Dr. Ender Kelestade. I'm a qualified clinical nutritionist and an expert in the field of gut health, immunity, and metabolic disorders. First of all, to start our webinar today, I would like to clarify some definitions in order to fully recognize and understand the topic. So we have microbiome, microbiota, and microflora. Basically, as we are human, our microbiome is a collection of microorganisms that live in our body, including bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa. And each microbiome contains its own communities, which we call them microbiota. We have microbiota of our gut, we have oral, which is called mouth, we have a skin, and other organs. Each mini ecosystem differs from one part of the body to another. If I would like to give an example, for example, the composition of your bacteria on your left and right feet will be different. And the final definition I would like to give today is the microflora. This is an outdated terminology when we first introduced it in 2001. The people more recognized as microflora, which refers to microbiota. But microflora is outdated term, as flora refers to the part of the life, like the plant life, where biota refers to the collection of microorganisms in the living world. In here, I would like to show we have three different individuals, adults there. One of them is lean, one of them is more toned, and one of them has some excessive weight. And what we see is that the lean, the skinny guy in here has a diet that mainly solely got vegetables, and in the middle one we have more tone, which we can see that there is some introduction of some protein sources, and at the third picture, which is an excessive weight, we can see that some high saturated fat containing diet with high trans fats, like a fast food, we can go in there. And what we're showing here is that different diets results in different gut microbiome, which results different metabolites. And of course, this will turn over to make a different health status. The gut microbiome consists of over 3 million genes, and 1/3 of the human gut microbiota is common to most people, but whereas 2/3 are individual, and it's much like a fingerprint. Each individual has a unique combination of microorganisms. In fact, a study in the US found that microbiota can identify individuals as effective as a fingerprint, but it's important to note that it can change. The composition of an adult's microbiota depends on various factors, such as genetics, mode of delivery, I will make a comment on the mode of delivery, sex, age, height, diet, sleep, chronic diseases, bad habits, medications taking, and living conditions. These can all affect the adult's microbiota composition. The number of microorganisms in the gut exceeds the total number of cells in the human body. The total mass of gut microbiota ranges from incredibly 1 to 3 kilograms. An adult weighing 70 kilograms and height 170 centimeters contains around 13 trillion cells and 49 trillion gut bacteria. It's a significant number. And microbiota is an ecosystem dominated by bacteria, mainly strict anaerobes that do not need oxygen to survive. It also contains other microorganisms, viruses, bacteriophages, protozoa, archaea, and which are unicellular living organisms, and fungi. In total, there are over 7,000 strains in the microbiota, and the gut makes up two-thirds of the immune system. We consider it like another organ at the moment. According to the scientists, each gut cell of an adult provides nutrients to 100,000 other cells in the body. In here, we can see kind of like a human evolution. The microbiota of children changes from 0 to 3 years old. The newborn inherits the bacteria from the mother, especially during the natural childbirth. So, if babies born vaginal, which is like a normal birth, are exposed to others' vaginal and fecal microbiota, while those born via C-section are exposed to different microbes found in hospitals. And during the first hours and days, the intestines of newborns are predominantly infected by micrococci, staphylococci, enterococci, and clostridia, followed by enterobacteria, lactobacilli, and bifidobacteria. And when it starts to grow and reach the adulthood, the adult microbiome is fully formed and is characterized by rich and diverse bacteria. In adults, the gut microbiome is relatively stable, but largely depends on the lifestyle. And as we get older, the diversity gets lower, and with domination of certain species and a decrease in the number of beneficial microorganisms, such as lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. And this happens because of the decrease in the gut motility and the length, which can impair nutrient absorption in turn and create an environment that is less hospitable for beneficial bacteria. Additionally, the immune system function may decrease with age, which can increase inflammation and negatively impact the gut microbiota. Here, I would like to show that we have 3 types of bacteria in the gut microbiome. We have friendly bacteria, which help our immune system to respond quickly to pathogens without giving them a chance to multiply and displace the beneficial inhabitants of the gut. We have such as an example on the right-hand side, lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. Next, we have conditionally pathogenic bacteria, which are usually harmless to a healthy person. But if they multiply dramatically and the body is negatively affected, and if the person is injured or another chronic condition has, this can become like a pathogenic, such as E. coli, clostridia, and enterococci. These are some examples of conditionally pathogenic bacteria. And pathogenic bacteria can cause illness, but only if the numbers are very high or if they're with like a compromised immune system, such as Campylobacter. And here we have the composition of the health gut microbiota, which definitely like dominated mainly by the lactobacilli, bifidobacteria, and bacterial species, which then accompanied by E. coli and enterococci, and the final part is like staphylococci and fungi and protozoa included in our healthy gut microbiota. So I will actually now move on to the functions of the microbiota. There is a state of equilibrium between microbiota population and complete health, and the maintenance of a constant internal environment of the microorganisms. And a normally functioning microbiota should have the following effects. First of all, it has to prevent colonization of the gastrointestinal tract by pathogenic microorganisms. It should promote local and systemic immunity, should utilize unabsorbed nutrients in the small intestine, regulating energy expenditure and storage, participate in the regulation of gastrointestinal motility, synthesize B vitamins, vitamin K, biologically active hormone-like substances, should regulate cholesterol metabolism, oxalate metabolism, and absorption of calcium and other ions. And finally, should protect the mucosa and distant organs from damaging effects of toxins, xenobiotics, procrastinogens by utilizing and metabolizing them. The gut microbiota affects not only the physical, but also the psychological well-being of us. The term psychobiotic has already been established, which refers to the living microorganisms. The intake of psychobiotics has a beneficial effect on the health of patients with mental illnesses. Scientists have been able to prove that, in addition to mood, active and beneficial gut bacteria also affect the level of susceptibility to stress and anxiety. And a balanced microbiota can help cope with these pressures on mental health. And to give some examples, E. coli can secrete dopamine, which is typically associated with feelings of pleasure and reward. Serotonin, which is involved in regulating mood, appetite, and sleep. And norepinephrine, which is involved in like flight and fight response. And next, we have lactobacilli, again, which produce serotonin, GABA, which refers to gamma aminobutyric acid, which is a very important neurotransmitter that helps to reduce the activity in the brain. And we have bifidobacteria, which affect the central serotonin transmission. And we have E. coli, bacillus, and Saccharomyces, which can produce noradrenaline. Streptococcus and Enterococcus synthesis serotonin, and bacillus can produce dopamine. And according to the results of the study, after just 4 weeks of taking a cocktail of various beneficial bacteria, which is a very short time, we can see that there are like significant improvements and changes in the brain, primarily in the areas that are responsible for emotions, feelings, and pain perception. In this way, probiotics help to combat stress and the aging process associated with it. And this is very important, and most people understand this wrong, but I would like to keep it as simple as possible. So when we have disturbance of the gut microbiota, which basically is like a balance, like equilibrium I previously mentioned. But if the balance of beneficial bacteria and the pathogenic bacteria changes, there is a disturbance. And this is called dysbiosis. It is not a disease, but if the pathogenic bacteria exceeds the beneficial bacteria, it underlines many conditions, including intestinal, systemic inflammatory, autoimmune, neuropsychiatric disorders. And pathogenic bacteria can be activated when the immune system is weakened, during frequent stress, poor diet, or exacerbations of gastrointestinal diseases. The altered composition of the microbiota affects the intestinal immune system. The immunity activated by gut dysbiosis triggers a cascade of inflammatory reactions, leading to joint damage, skin problems, kidney damage, gastrointestinal issues, and more. And if the defense response is excessive, and it can cause even an autoimmune disease to develop. The disruption of the gut microbiota can be seen in the form of impaired gastrointestinal function, which leads to abdominal bloating that most of us frequently observe, alternating constipation and diarrhea, abdominal pain, and more. And unexpected allergic reactions to certain foods accompanied by nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, skin itching, rashes. Further, it continues with impaired nutrient absorption, which leads to iron and vitamin deficiency, which in long term it can cause more significant effects and weakened immunity. We have complaints of weakness, headaches, lack of appetite, anxiety, depression, inflammatory processes, skin irritation, dull hair, nails, and changes in weight, bad breath, which is a very big problem, cravings for alcohol or sweets. And the main causes of disruption of the gut microbiota is as a result of eating on the go, like such as fast food consumption, eating in a hurry without proper focus on the meal, uncontrolled intake of medications. I would like to emphasize antibiotics, which not only affect the pathogenic but also reduce the diversity of the beneficial bacteria, incorrect diet, including monotonous food consumption like solely kind of ingredients, impaired gastrointestinal motility, uncontrolled adherence to diets, gastrointestinal infections, chronic gastrointestinal disease such as gastritis, enteritis, colitis, endocrine disorders, allergic disease, stress and depression, alcohol consumption, smoking, and even climatic and environmental conditions, chemotherapy and radiotherapy for cancer. These are all causes of disrupted gut microbiota. And what diseases are associated with the dysbiosis of the microbiota? We have pretty long list and very important conditions on here, which might be surprised when you hear them, that they are all linked with dysbiosis of the gut microbiota, such as autoimmune hepatitis, fatty hepatitis, which is also recognized as fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, obesity, bacterial overgrowth syndrome in your small intestines, irritable bowel syndrome, um, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, celiac disease, colon cancer, bronchial asthma, multiple sclerosis, autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which can be very common in kids, Alzheimer's disease, depression, Parkinson's disease, and even cognitive impairment. And here, when I was started my PhD back in 5 years ago, I was finding myself in the middle of the scientific literature that is called like gut-brain axis, which is newly developing like 5 years ago. And how it is developed is like summarizing this very lovely picture. We can see that stress, chronic stress, I'm talking, diet in terms of like high trans fats, infections, and use of antibiotics increase the intestinal permeability, which means that the lining of the intestine becomes more permeable than the usual and allowing larger particles and potentially harmful substances to pass through into the bloodstream. And this can lead a condition called leaky gut syndrome. And as a result of this, we have like the pathogens and other harmful substances pass through this intestinal barrier into the systemic inflammation, systemic circulatory system, increase blood-brain permeability, and can cause Parkinson's disease, depression, Alzheimer's disease, autism, and even multiple sclerosis. So, the key to creating and managing a healthy gut microbiota is simple, is regulating the balance between beneficial and pathogenic bacteria, and the simple way is the diet. Diet plays a crucial role, not only by providing a balanced intake of energy, but also supplying certain nutrients that directly affect the composition of the microbiota. And the addition of prebiotics is essential for optimal gut microbiota function. The positive effects of probiotics in microbiota growth and activity are well studied, including their ability to nourish beneficial commensal bacteria while helping to inhibit the harmful ones. And natural enzyme preparations are also important as they help break down food in the digestive tract into small particles, probiotics, which they do this. And these are what bacteria and cells in the human gut are feed on. And here is the three simple rules to revitalize your gut microbiota. First, always chew your food thoroughly. Eat in a calm state, not when you are tired or stressed, and not when your hands and feet are cold, because then the blood supply to your gut will be also poor. And eat only when you feel hungry. It's important if you decide to change your eating habits or going on a diet, or you should not do so fast and immediately, like big switch to new foods. A sudden change in the diet will confuse these bacteria in your gut, and this can lead to bloating and increased gas protection, which can affect you. And the amount of new foods, including nutrients in the form of fruits and vegetables in your diet, should be increased gradually, slowly introducing to yourself. And here is our new product, is MetaFoodBiom again. The composition of it It consists of kombucha concentrate, 17 strains of peptide ultralysates, acacia gum, guar and xanthan gum, lactic acid, enzymes such as lysozyme, aromatase, bromelain, biologically active substances from Bacillus subtilis, zeolite, liquoric extract, fulvic, and humic acids. And kombucha is a natural probiotic product obtained by fermenting tea with symbiotic microorganisms, and which is known as the elixir of immortality. The unique property of kombucha is its ability to inhibit glycation processes. As a result of glycation, collagen and elastin molecules are damaged, causing our skin to lose its elasticity, thin out, and sag, and leading to the appearance of wrinkles. When kombucha is used, glycation decreases by 79%, which is a significant percentage. And in vitro, it has antimicrobial activity against Helicobacter pylori, which is the main cause of gastritis and peptic ulcers, which is difficult to diagnose without some methodologies, and E. coli and Streptococcus aureus and Acrobacterium. Kombucha restores gut microbiota. It helps normalize the pH in the intestinal lumen and promotes active regeneration of intestinal epithelial cells. And here we have the next ingredient is the 17 strains of peptide ultralysates. We have 6 strains of bifidobacterium and 11 strains of lactobacillus. If you go my earlier slides, as I mentioned, these are the beneficial, friendly bacteria that we got. And these results from the breakdown of probiotic bacterial cells into the fragments that include bacterial cell wall and their intercellular content. These don't break in the stomach and reaches the intestine, and which acts quickly. They are safe and suitable for consumers with unbalanced or compromised immune system who cannot use probiotics, and can be used in high doses, have a long shelf life, and metabiotics. These peptide ultralysates provide our body with ready-made metabolically active substances that healthy person's microbiota should normally produce it. And we have zeolite mineral, aromatase enzyme, which is an antibacterial agent that destroys bacterial cell walls. A complex of biologically active substances released by Bacillus subtilis, which inhibits the pathogenic and opportunistic microorganisms and destroy the beta-glucans of the cell wall of Candida albicans. And the sorption properties of zeolite are necessary for binding and removing bacterial and food toxins from our body. And we are continuing to the composition of our product. We have lactic acid, which is a natural metabolite of lactic acid bacteria that creates favorable conditions for the development of its own microflora. We have lysozyme, which is an enzyme that breaks down the cell walls of pathogenic bacteria. We have, and it's also called like normalizing, which is synthesized by macrophages and neutrophils and other phagocytic cells and constantly present in our body fluids and tissues. It is found in blood, lymph, tears, milk, semen, and genitourinary tract, and mucous membranes of the respiratory and gastrointestinal tract, and in the brain. Next, we have non-digestible fibers coming from acacia gum, which provides extra protection and nourishment for normal intestinal microbiota. We have guar gum, which is produced from the culture of guar beans, which contain up to 70% culture, a bean that contains up to 17% valuable resin. We have xanthan gum, which is obtained from the fermentation reaction of microorganisms, xanthomans and campestris, and it reduces blood sugar levels after meals. And finally, we have liquoric extract enhances the effect of other ingredients and their inflammatory action, which has a detox effect. Our composition of MetaFoodBiom is not finished yet. We continue with bromelain, which is a naturally occurring proteolytic enzyme. It helps to reduce chronic inflammation, speeds up the regeneration of the intestinal mucosa, and bromelain is derived from pineapple, where it's found in high concentrations in the solid part of the fruit. Bromelain has a wide range of actions, such as increasing enzymatic activity, helps the body break down and absorb protein foods, normalizes metabolism, has the ability to break down fats and reduce the contamination of the body with toxins, which has anti-inflammatory and healing properties, and gently reduces blood clotting. Next, we have fulvic and humic acids, which are considered to be one of the best natural detoxifiers. They cleanse the body of toxins, cholesterol, and remove allergens. They also normalize digestion, peristalsis, and enhance immunity. Fulvic acid acts as a conductor for vitamins and minerals and enhances their bioavailability at the cellular level up to 98% compared to typical 40-50%. And humic acids are selective prebiotics and improve the growth of bifidogenic flora. The capsule you will find in the MetaFoodBiom is with an enteric coating, which ensures the targeted delivery of the ingredients into the intestines. The enzymes in the product need an alkaline environment, and in order to make the full effect, but our stomach has a very high acidic environment and it can neutralize the activity of proteolytic enzymes. Therefore, we need to use acid resistant capsules as preferred. The functions of the complex is reducing inflammatory reactions in the gastrointestinal tract, intestinal epithelium and regeneration, digestive health, detoxification, improving the intestinal microbiota, restore water electrolyte balance in the intestine, and normalization of natural vitamin B and K synthesis. MetaFoodBiom is recommended when you observe atopic dermatitis, allergies and other manifestations, acne, problems with the intestine and skin, in case of alcoholic and food poisonings, and gastrointestinal disorders. So, what are the advantages and bioinnovations of MetaFoodBiom? So, probiotic organisms grown using innovative methods, high fragmentation of bacterial cell walls. We have large diversity of microbial strains, more than 20, most effective components for gut microbiota that has been scientifically established, and enzymes that protect against pathogenic bacteria and causes metabolic detoxification while increasing effectiveness of components due to the synergy. So, if you observe any of these conditions that I mentioned, or if you have any symptoms of it, or if you observe any of these clinical conditions, you supposed to be using MetaFoodBiom. MetaFoodBiom can be used for preventative use, and if you are aiming to use as a preventative, you have to take one capsule twice a day after meals. Or if you're observing poisoning, you can take 2 capsules in the morning on an empty stomach. The recommended duration of treatment is 2 months. And I would like to warn, please do not open the capsule with enteric coating, because if you open and close, you will destroy this coating in the capsule, and which will make it not resistant to the stomach acid, which will you getting the efficacy from the product. And our MetaFoodBiom is cost 31.88 euros, which gives 10 CVs and 10 PCV. Thank you very much for listening me, and it was my great pleasure to introduce you MetaFoodBiom, and look forward seeing you introducing the other new products. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.